drove me insane. Grandma didn't write a single thing down. And what was even more puzzling is I believe she knew how and still chose not to. She knew it all by heart, so she didn't need to. I remember I would watch her cook and write down what she was doing. She would watch me and smile and shake her head. Eventually, I ended up with her cookbook. When she left, I remember thinking, even though I documented every second of her recipe, no one will ever taste her cooking ever again. You can have all the steps, all the quantities, all the details, but that touch, that feel that you cannot put into words was gone forever. Isn't that beautiful? It's sad, but beautiful, you know? Oh, I'm tearing again. Thanks, honey. I'm really never like this. Grandma was no pushover, though. I remember we started going to her place after school because we knew that she would feed us. We'd have our books laid out on the table, going through homework. Someone would inevitably annoy someone else, and we would all start arguing. Grandma would be at the stove preparing like we weren't even there. The only time she would break us up is when she wanted input on what she was making. She'd bang her wooden spoon on the table and motion for us to go over and taste and add anything we wanted. Such good memories, you know? This place really is the only real home I've ever had. It feels good to be back. And the garden, my goodness, the garden. Just look at it. It's immaculate. I'll take a little bit of credit for it, I guess. But Grandma's handiwork is still here. She's still in this soil. She's still in this garden. Anthony, too. The soil remembers all the sweat and tears put into it over the years. How could it forget? I mean, just look at it. It knows exactly what it's doing, and it doesn't have to say a thing. As soon as Anthony got back from the city and stepped into the backyard, he was instantly emotional. He tried to be a tough guy about it and cover it up, but I could hear him sniffling as he walked through the rows. Poor guy. He gets it. I guess you could say, since I've been back, I've embraced a new profession. Gardening. It wasn't long before I ran into some old classmates of mine who wanted to catch up. They came by the garden and were blown away. A few of them were so impressed and inspired, they wanted me to help them rip up their yards and get gardens going. Pretty soon, word spread, and I got gardens going everywhere. I mean, it has been physically and mentally terrific for me. I have a poster inside with all my gardens mapped out and my schedules for weeding and watering. It's a full-time job. I don't ask for payment or anything. Gardening is all the payment I need. One of the ladies calls me the garden ambulance. Because people are getting after me to help them out with their gardens. I'm like the garden whisperer around here. It's been fun. I don't know why, but I never really appreciated food so much as I have since being back here. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed cooking and gardening when I lived in the city, but I guess I was always so preoccupied with my mission of saving the world that gardening and cooking just seemed so simple and mundane. Like it's so old and repetitive. And then there are all the new books by new people discovering new things. Why waste so much precious time on anything else? But it's like the old and repetitive is how we got the new and exciting, you know? And there is something to the old and repetitive that fills me with so much more than all the new books combined. I mean, I can't prove it, but that's how it feels. I mean, in the words of Anthony, The garden eats its own shit. I had never thought of it that way, but I guess it's true. It eats rain and sunshine too, but the gardens ain't gonna grow themselves. Well, they will, but not as well. They need a little help. Humanity ain't gonna grow itself either. Well, it will, but it needs a little help too. Humanity, like gardens, just needs a little understanding. To understand what can be done so they can be the best they can be. Just pay attention to them, and you will just feel what they need. They know best. They are the experts. Nature is the true expert. And what does it give us? Something we can experience and enjoy with all of our senses, so we can do it all over again. It's just too wonderful for words, you know? Oh, I'm tearing again. Thanks, honey. Yeah, it's good to be back in town. I have to say, would never have thought. The ladies have been a big part of that, though. They are constantly planning little dates to do this or that. I've never really had that before. It's cute. I look forward to it. I mean, sometimes all we do is go stretch in the park, you know? Just stretch. Together. Listening to the birds and the wind in the trees. Those are probably my favorite dates. I guess it's all kind of like dancing, but not really. It's like pre and post dancing, without the dancing. You know what? Maybe that's what Ava needs. I mean, she probably needs more than that. Sorry, bad joke. But really, I bet it would be good for her right now. I mean, when I found her and Alan in the tub, I nearly had a frickin' heart attack. Why would she do such a stupid thing? That poor girl. Who knows what she has been through and what's going on in her head? Who knows? I don't think I ever want to know. You know? I think she's doing better now, though. I think she is going to stick around a while. It's probably best that she stays away from the city right now. I mean, maybe it's my turn to take care of her. Actually, well, I already mentioned Brittany, Ava's old dance partner. Well, the wackiest thing happened. I'm out with the ladies, and there's this new friend of a friend, and she's a teacher in town. So we start talking about this and that, and then she mentions this student she's struggling with. An orphan named Brittany. She's bright, polite, but awfully quiet and reserved. Not participating in class, not completing any of the homework. Just spends her time daydreaming and writing in her diary. Poor thing. And I don't know what came over me, but I felt like I needed to do something, you know? So she set it up, and I met the girl. Look, I have the tingles just saying this. She looked exactly like Ava's old friend Brittany. Exactly. Like same age, same build, same face. It freaked me out. I couldn't believe it. But there she was. I mean, you know, not the same personality or anything. This Brittany was like a sadder, quieter version. Very unkempt as well. Apparently, she had some kind of phobia of water. I tried to ask her about it, but she wasn't interested. She didn't make eye contact with me at all. Let her bangs kind of hang over her face, giving one-word answers to questions. Oh, my heart just broke for her. So, the teacher set up a time with the girls' guardians, once a week, for me and Brittany to have a little date. Just to see what I could do. First things first, I brought her to the garden. Where else would I take her, right? She liked it. I even got her watering. I thought that was a win. We didn't even talk. Not once. I felt like Grandma, showing little me around the garden. When we were done with watering, we walked over to the indoor pool at the school. We got as far as the door. We just stood there, looking through the windows, watching some kids playing. I opened the door and looked back at her. She just shook her head no, and we left. The next week, back to the garden, she goes straight into watering. No problem. We make our way back to the pool. No one else was there, which I think helped. This time, she followed me inside the door, but stayed leaned up against it. Poor thing. I went over to the steps at the shallow end and just sat on the ledge, put my feet in, and splashed the water around. I looked back at her, and she just shook her head no, and she went back out the door. Week after that, same thing. But this time, she sat down at the door and started to shimmy and slide her way over to me while on her backside. Oh, I'm tearing up again. Thanks, honey. She made her way right up next to me and laid flat on the floor. Oh, I just can't. Thanks, honey. How silly am I? Wow. I'm sorry. She laid there for a while, then grabbed my hand, and she put her feet in the water. And she let out this cry. I'm sorry. Thanks, honey. Wow. I guess I've never talked about this before. She let out this cry. It was like a feral howl. Chilling. It rang out and reverberated in the deserted pool area. I thought she was going to break my hand. She was vibrating. I didn't know what to do. The poor girl just dipped her toes in the water. The simplest thing. She kept breathing quickly, laying there with her eyes closed, holding my hand. Eventually, she tired herself out, opened her eyes, looked at me. She sat up and looked at her feet in the water. I kicked one of my feet and splashed the water. She jumped a little and squeezed my hand, then started to move her feet in the water and smiled at me. Oh, what a day that was. What a win. I didn't want to push it though, so we just got our feet out of the water and I held her hand until we were out the door. We kept going back to the pool every week, going a little deeper each time, and every week you could see the changes in her personality too. Even her teacher said she noticed more participation in class and schoolwork. I still can't believe it. I mean, I can believe it. I saw it with my own eyes. But I can't, I'm sorry. Thanks, honey. Eventually, she started swimming and floating all on her own. She didn't even need me there. She's such an amazing girl. You'll love her. I'm excited for you to meet her. I think you two will hit it off. Oh yeah, so the other day, Ava must have spotted us together or something, because all of a sudden, she's telling me that she started to book out the old dance studio and thought it would be fun if I invited Britt. Britt. That's what she called her old dance partner. I thought it was a cute idea. She made her way off to the studio, and I was making my way over to pick up Brittany. The studio was just a couple blocks off my route, so I thought I would walk by on my way just to check it out. Hadn't been there in forever. I peeked in the little window in the door, and there she was. I have seen her dance probably 1,000,000 times before. It's hard to think of a memory of her that she wasn't practicing some move or another. But honestly, I can't remember the last time I saw her dance. She was hypnotizing. She was remarkable. She danced like she was possessed. She sucked me in. I don't know where she got her energy, but she was channeling something. It's like she was on speed. And no pole. Just her 2 feet and a heartbeat. Just her gliding through the studio like she wasn't even touching the floor. So beautiful. I couldn't believe it. But I could. Oh, you know. She was born to do it. I always believed it, but I had forgot. It was like with every move, she was saving her own little world. Oh, I'm tearing again. Thanks, honey. Oh, what an exhausting day. I don't think I've teared so much in all my life. Like, where are they all coming from? I gotta be running out soon. Anyway, I went and picked up Brittany, and we went to the studio, and it was just perfect. We all had a wonderful time. Ava was wonderful. Brittany was wonderful. We didn't even chit-chat. Ava's music was blaring when we got there. Great music, by the way. I didn't recognize it. And we just got swept up in it and danced our asses off. Pardon me. Oh, I think we were all overdue for a good old dance session. I was a little out of practice, but I didn't care. There's no keeping up with Ava anyway. Who am I kidding? But Brittany, oh Brittany, she was incredible. I never saw her like that before. She was glowing, beaming, laughing. Her laugh is infectious, intoxicating. I don't think any of us wanted it to end. At one point, Ava even took her sunglasses off and threw them across the studio. Oh, again, with the tears. Unbelievable. How is there any left? Thank you, honey. Oh, all these years, I forgot she had those beautiful eyes. Frick, is she gorgeous. Oh, did we dance? Oh, did we laugh? Oh, did it feel good? Oh, did I love it? We didn't want to stop. We didn't need to stop. We didn't know what we needed anymore. And that feeling was absolutely